Howdy! How's everybody out there in YouTube land on this fine Wednesday? Well, still morning. It ain't skipped over to afternoon here yet, but it's headed that direction. Man, it's getting hot outside. I've been out picking beans and maters. I got a bucket of maters and a bucket of beans. Gonna do some bean snapping. And I thought maybe some of you want to come and chat with me for a little bit. Maybe I'll tell some stories. Maybe we'll do some reminiscing. You never know when you're snapping beans what the conversation's going to be. So, hope y'all join in the chat and chat with me here for a few minutes while I get into these beans. These are Blue Lake bush beans. That's the kind that I like the best. Mystic Angel in the house. Good to have you in there, Mystic. I'm snapping beans. I've been out picking beans this morning and got these Blue Lake bush beans out of my garden. This is the second picking off of these beans and there's still blooms hanging out there. So there'll be at least a third picking. Maybe not quite as many in the third picking is what there has been, but hey, it is what it is. Boy, I love my fresh green beans out of the garden. They're better than the canned beans. I mean, I like canned beans too, but fresh green beans out of the garden, man, they have the best taste. Taste fresh. I cook them up with ham hocks or ham shanks. Put some onion in there with them, flavor them good, a little salt. I'm allergic to pepper. I can't do the pepper thing. Anything's got pepper in it puts me to sneezing like I ain't no tomorrow. But I do put a little salt in there. But them ham shanks, oh man. And make sure to get smoked ones too. Luana's in the house. Good to have you in there, Luana. I ain't seen you in, oh, Lord ages. Glad to see you. Snapping these beans this morning. Been out in that garden. It's starting to get hot out there too. It was a good time to get her done and get back in the house in the air conditioning. I put these beans in the slow cooker with the hocks and the seasonings there. Make up a little cornbread later to go with them. Mystic's in the house. Say hey to Mystic. We're getting all this gardening stuff out of the way early in the day. That's the way I was raised. You get out there and get it done early and get in the house before it gets too hot. I got me a cold drink over here on the side. Quench my thirst a little bit. So every so often I'll take a sip of my beverage. Oh, mercy. I like working in the garden, but I like coming back inside when it's done, too. Always been that way. Oh, well, bless your heart, Luana. Oh, my goodness. I'm a hot mess, I'll tell you what. I'll straighten up after a while. Get a shower, get the garden dirt washed off of me, and wash my hair. Straighten myself up a little bit. I need to do some work on YouTube, but I've been procrastinating. I've got quite a bit done, but oh Lord, I need to do more. Yeah, I'm trying to straighten up descriptions and put the end cards in and the, Lord, the tags and the thumbnails, and I ain't sure I've done half of it right, but, you know, I'm doing what I know how to do in my technically challenged way. Yes, that's right. I turn hot into hot mess. Well, you know, I've always said I take easy things and make them look difficult. Oh, Mystic's daughter has her first OB appointment today. She's got a grandbaby on the way, Mystic does. Well, it's tough this time of year, Luana, to get them to hop. so to speak, because, you know, folks have other things to do besides YouTube now. In wintertime, you know, people kind of humped up in the house, you know, looking for something to do, then I think YouTube does a little bit better. But this time of year is kind of tough to get people to watch, so I've taken a little bit of a sabbatical away from doing the everyday videos and stuff that I was doing, my marathons, and been trying to clean the channel up a little bit. I've got a whole stack of things that I want to do on YouTube. I'm going to probably try to do some acrylic pours over the weekend. I got some canvases over here that's been talking to me, saying that they want a little attention, so I may try to do some acrylic pours. Oh, the second grandbaby on its way over to Luana's. That's something I'll never experience. I didn't have no youngins, and I had a life full of unbelievable events, but I never had no kids, and so there won't be no grandkids. But hey, you know, it is what it is. Well, they're saying December the 10th. I think you can probably bank on it being a Christmas baby. First ones are always late. Shannon Miller's in the house. Good to have you in there, Shannon. Well, you have to save up like I did, Luana. I saved up for my first one. It was a cheap one, but it got the job done. And then I got one that was a little better here a while back. You just have to keep saving up for your parts and pieces. I've been saving and gathering for, well, about 3 years now. I've been at this quest trying to get the YouTube thing going. I started out doing a news show. That channel's still on YouTube. I haven't done anything with it in over a year, but I did a news show every day there for a year. Get my feet wet a little bit. Missy, you're gonna spoil that baby awful. You gonna get your yarn out and go to crocheting and have some blankets and outfits, sweaters and stuff made up for it? I've been doing a lot of crocheting lately. Some people got me started back on crocheting here a while back. They wanted me to do some videos on it, so I did a series of videos teaching them how to crochet, and now I've been on that kick. I got a bunch of stuff crocheted up to put together, and hopefully in another week or two I'll have that all out of the way. So many things that I want to do. If I have to do everything I want to do before I die, I ain't never gonna die. That's the list I got. Lord have mercy. Banky Sharma's in the house, and Crystal McGuire. Good to have both of you in there. Folks is strolling in. I guess notifications has been going out. I'm breaking these beans. I'm going to cook me up a mess of beans today with some ham hocks. Frozen Fury's in the house. Now I'm going to mess this up. I know I am. Orzco's family. I hope I came close. Good to have you in there. Rozoco's family. I know I'm mispronouncing that. Pronunciating, is that a word? Oh. That's a Brenda word from being out in the sun too long, I think. Pronunciation. There you go. I can't even pronounce the word to pronounce it. Oh. Frozen says he just finished breakfast. He says, but I keep seeing more food. I'll be a big giant wheel that rolls around. Oh. Well, you know, I got a theory. I got several of them. None of them really make a whole lot of sense, but I got them anyway. But, you know, as you get older, you start wrinkling up. So my way around that was to eat until I filled all the wrinkles in. But then, that kind of caught up to me. And so then I decided that, okay, what we needed was weight, you know, to pull the wrinkles out of my face. So I took my bra off. It's worked so far. Of course, you got to stand back from the dresser when you do that, you know, because gravity works. I've thumped my head and got a big knot on my head. I've got to get me some spray, too, because I got a spray. Do you know, can y'all tell me what kind of spray you use to get rid of calories? Because them little critters get in my closet and shrink my clothes at night. I need some calorie killers. Them calories worse than bed bugs. Barnyard chickens in the house. Good to have you in there. Snapping beans this morning. Well, I'm good for a laugh anyway, Frozen. If you can't laugh at yourself, you ain't got no business laughing at nobody else. I laugh at myself more than I laugh at other folks. Yeah, I think they do, Shannon. I've been looking for it. Maybe I need to do a Google search. Calorie spray. Blasted varmints shrinking up my clothes. Yeah, this is the second picking off of these beans. These are Blue Lake bush beans. Mom used to raise several different kinds when I was a kid. She planted several different varieties, but I always loved the Blue Lakes the best. So, hey, you stick with what you like and what you know. Green beans is something I don't experiment much with. I'll experiment maybe with maters once in a while. And gourds and different things, but I don't mess with my green beans. It's always nice to have some company when you're snapping beans. I used to help my granny snap beans. I'd go out and pick the beans, you know, and come up, I'd snap the ones that I was going to put up. And then I'd take a batch down to my granny, and whatever was left then went to the farmer's market. But Granny and I'd go out on the porch swing, glider swing, in her front yard underneath the shade tree, and we'd snap beans out there. And she'd tell me stories about when she was a girl growing up, which would have been back in about 1900. Yeah, YouTube does that, Luana. They put restrictions on every blasted thing. It aggravates the far out of you. I don't put any time constraints on my chats. I've never had chats get so big that I couldn't keep up with them. Do I have to spray my beans? Bugs are bad here. Sometimes. I haven't this year. Everything's left them alone pretty much this year. I mean, I see some of the leaves getting chewed up a little bit by the bugs, but the beans themselves have been left alone, so I haven't put anything on them. If I'm going to do anything, I dust them. I dust them with 7, but I haven't done anything this year to them. You just go to the garden center. Walmart will have it. Most any place that's got gardening stuff will have it, and 7 dust. And they'll leave them alone. You put that on there. But you got to wash them, I mean, really good before you cook them. You use that. Some years are better than others for, you know, bugs leaving stuff alone. Here, the big problem is the blasted squirrels. I'm going to have to regroup over the wintertime, figure out what I'm going to do about these squirrels, because this is aggravating. They got my cauliflower that I planted, and they got some of the beans, the ones that I planted over on the east side of the house they got. And I had some gourds out there that they got. And I had a couple pepper plants out there, they got them. Black spots. Okay, that is not, that's not a pest. That is something you need an herbicide for. Take a sample of it to your garden center and ask them what it is and what you need to do to stop it, and they'll know at the garden center. Anytime I get something that I don't recognize, you know, I'll just take a sample to the garden center and they know what's what about it. Well, you ain't been to bed yet, Luana? I had a rough time getting to sleep last night. Of course, you know, I keep weird hours anyway, but, you know, the heat kind of messes me up. Oh, okay, 12-hour shift, uh-huh. Well, you get some good rest, girl. Yeah, that's the best way that I know to fight it, Shannon, is you just take a sample up to the garden center and they'll know what to do. And if they don't know what to do at that one, take it to another garden center, because, you know, anybody that's knowledgeable in a garden center knows all about all these different things that can go wrong with your plants. I've never had black spots on my beans, so I don't know what that is, but it would be some sort of a fungus, I would imagine. So they'll know exactly what you need to fight it. Misty's gonna go to playing his guitar. He's a good guitar picker. He needs to come to Indiana and pick a guitar for me. Give me a concert. Yeah, I wouldn't think black spots would be bugs. Although, you know, I guess it could be, but I wouldn't think that's what it would be. It sounds to me like a fungus of some sort. And there's things that you can fight that with, too. We used to get rusty spots on the beans when I was a kid at home. And that was some sort of a fungus from the soil, and I don't remember what we used to fight that with. Jeff Robinson's in the house. Will you be sharing any good recipes for beans? Well, I'll tell you how I cook them. I put some good ham shanks, smoked ham shanks, or if you can't get ham shanks, get hocks. Shanks have a little more meat. And then I'll take an onion and I'll dice that up and put that in the pot, and then I'll put some broth in there. It doesn't matter whether it's beef or chicken. And a little salt, and put the lid on it in the slow cooker and let it cook until the meat falls off of those ham bones. Let it cook all day. When the meat comes off the ham bones, oh, and I also put some new red potatoes in there too. Some of them little red potatoes. Scrub them up, put them in it. And Let it cook till the ham comes off the bone. Then I fix a side of cornbread to go with it, Jeff. TCTV's in the house. Good to have you in there, TC. How's everything going over in the UK today? Yeah, the broth gives it extra flavor. And I put lots of broth in there. I'll just, you know, bring it right up to the top of wherever the beans are there in the pot. Lots of broth. Just let it steam in that. Cook, slow cook all day. Wowee. Make a puppy pull a freight train. My daddy used to say, you put a plate of that on your head, your tongue will smack your brains out trying to get to it. Oh, I guess TC's little boy's there. He likes to hear me do the howdy. So y'all hold your ears. I don't want to I don't want to hurt y'all. Howdy! I've had people tell me they turn my videos on. I scare the hell out of them. Oh, I love my crock pot, Jeff. That way I don't have to stand over top of it. I can just plug that crock pot in and let it do the work for me. Of course, I don't know that anybody need to turn it on their video thing for me to scare the hell out of them. Just take a look at me. That oh, I got some ex-husbands that would attest to that. Oh, you've heard people say, oh, that woman scared the hell out of you. Well, that'd be me. I've made a career of it. Megan's in the house. Good to see you, Megan. We're snapping beans. Getting ready to cook up a big old mess of beans today. Some ham shanks. And I tell you what, you go to the store and you don't see any ham shanks or ham hocks there in the meat case, you ask the meat manager, where's the ham hocks, the ham shanks at? And if they don't know what you're talking about, you find a new store. I went up to the store the other day. There wasn't none out. I found the meat manager and I said, where's the ham shanks and the ham hocks at? And he says, oh, let me go in the back and see if we have any. I said, well, it don't matter. Shanks or hocks. I'd rather have shanks if you got them, but you don't. Hocks will do. So he come out with 2 packages. He said, this is all we got. Oh, Lord have mercy. I said, well, you need to be stocking up. Do you know that it's green bean season? I was looking for pickling spices. You know, usually you can get a jar in the seasoning department of what they call pickling spices. And if you can't find that, you can find dill. And you know they didn't have either one up there at the store. And I live in a farm community. You'd think they'd have that kind of stuff. Lord have mercy. We all gonna starve to death anything ever happens. What am I making with the beans? I'm gonna do green beans with ham hocks and new red potatoes, and I'm gonna put some onion in there, some broth, and slow cook them in the slow cooker, and then I'll make a side of cornbread to go with them. Megan. Comes in a box. You're talking about your pickling spices. It usually comes in a little jar. What I've always seen. Can you come for dinner? Sure. Sure you can. Keep in mind, though, you come for dinner, I'll put you to work. Jeff's doing a bathroom remodel at his house. Boy, if I had the money, you know, Publishers Clearinghouse. Have you ever had them dreams where, you know, if Publishers Clearinghouse ever showed up at your door with one of them big checks, what you do? One of the things I'd do is redo my kitchen. My kitchen is the tiniest little hole you ever seen in your life. Great big old house, tiny little kitchen. When I bought the house, the lady I bought the house from said the only reason you're getting a kitchen with it is because it comes with a house. She hated to cook. She hated anything to do with the kitchen. And I just shook my head. But I would redo the kitchen. I'd knock out a wall. There's a sunroom back there. I'd knock out the wall between the kitchen and the sunroom and make me a kitchen. Redo that whole shooting match back there. Bless your heart, Megan. I know you would, honey. But I'll tell you what. If y'all want to know a secret, if you got people coming around your place that are nosy. I had this happen to me several years ago, back when my dad had his stroke. People was wanting to know what I was going to do with the farm, you know, since Dad had had his stroke, and neighbors was coming around nosing, and what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I mean, this went on every day for weeks, and I got sick of it. I thought, you know, I'm going to have to find something for these people to do, because apparently they don't have enough to do. They're coming around asking me all these questions. So they'd always say before they left, you need any help with anything, you let me know. You need any help, you let me know. You'd say, and you know that that's empty. That's so empty. They have no intention of doing anything. So I thought, the next one that comes in here asking me these questions, I'm going to stop this. You watch me. And so here come one. What you going to do with the place? You made any decisions yet? What you going to do? And I said, I haven't made any decisions on what I'm going to do yet. And, well, now, you need any help with anything, you let me know. I said, as a matter of fact, I do. I do need some help with something. Well, what do you need? I said, well, you see that big old pile of gates? There must have been like 20 of these big old steel frame gates that was down in a shed. And I said, you see all them gates down there? And I said, yeah. And I said, I need them gates moved from that shed back behind the barn over there, which was, oh, good Lord, probably 60 yards. And it was big, heavy gates, too. I said, I need them moved. And, oh, well, yeah, I could do that for you, okay. And so he gets out and he moves all them gates. And oh, a few days later, here comes another one. I asked him, what, have you made any decisions what you're going to do? And, no, ain't made no decisions yet. Well, if you need anything, you just let me know. Well, as a matter of fact, I do. Well, what do you need? I said, back behind the barn back there is a whole bunch of steel frame gates. I need them gates moved up here into this shed. Oh, I can do that for you. I can do that for you. So he goes back here and gets all them gates and moves them. And gets in his truck and leaves. A few days later, here comes another. Same thing. The gates in the shed, need them behind the barn, so he moves them. I think I had them gates moved about 6 times before they finally started comparing notes. I figured out what I was doing and they quit. They quit coming and asking me a bunch of questions. Oh, but that was funny. That was entertaining. I thought, you know, if they're going to come around, they at least ought to be entertaining. But there's a lesson to you. Sometimes you just got to keep people busy. If that's how you do it. Well, I wouldn't do that to you, Megan. Just trying to keep up with things around here, mercy's sakes. And I ain't getting no younger, you know. Trying to keep up with the yard and the house, and I don't have to keep up with nothing anymore. And I don't worry about it either, because I figure, well, it's just I'll still be there for somebody else to do once I'm gone, you know. It's they're going to have some harsh words from me saying, why didn't she do better? Well, hey. Spend what time I've got left on the planet doing the things that I want to do. Snapping beans. Cooking good things to eat. I tease Cab 7 all the time about pie. Because I know he likes his pie. And I've been teasing him lately about peach cobbler. I'll say, Cab, I got 2 words for you. He don't even ask me what anymore because he knows what they are. Peach cobbler. Shan says I'm giving her ideas. Well, that's how you do it. Find you a little chore, you know, that's going to be, you know, something that they're not going to enjoy. You know, they're going to get about halfway through it and say, why did I offer? You know, that's the kind of chore you got to find for them. I remember one time, you know how kids are, they say, I'm bored. I don't have anything to do. Lord have mercy. My mother taught me never to do that. She always had something for me to do, like it or no. And so he was complaining one day, I'm bored. I said, all right, well, I'll tell you what. And I said, come with me. We went out to the shed, and I got a shovel out, and I took him out edge of the field. I said, I need a hole dug here. Hole? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, how big? I said, well, probably ought to be about 4 foot by 4 foot. And dig it down about 4 foot too. And the ground was rock solid. You know, it was late in the summer when it hadn't been raining much, and clay soil. And I said, well, this dirt's hard. I said, well, then I guess you'll have to run some water out here. Get you a bucket of water, pour on it, soften it up a little bit. Do that until you get it softened up enough you can dig on it. So he got it all dug out, and finally he comes in the house, sweat pouring off of him, and he said, well, I got the hole dug. And I said, all right. And I said, you got anything else to do? And he said, no. And I said, well, then go fill it back in. Oh, how many days will I be eating beans? Well, I'll tell you what, I'll have a couple meals out of it, and the rest of it I freeze. And then all winter long, I'll have green beans. You know, I put it in freezer bags, sealed up real good. Put it in the freezer. And then when I want a meal or two of it, I pull it out of the freezer, thaw it out, warm it up, and it's just like when you cooked it. Now, I know I'm going to mess up your name, but I'm going to try. Caldo Mente. I hope I'm close. Welcome. Glad to have you in there. And Danny's Corner's in the house. Say hello to Danny. Great to have you with us, too. We're snapping some beans here today. Yes, Shannon, I have a tendency to be ornery. But, hey, it's generally instigated, you know. I don't just sit around and think up things to do to people for no reason, you know. I'd be darned if I was going to let that boy sit around bored. I mean, you know, had to give him something to keep him occupied. Believe me, he got his licks in on me. Wow. He's a tough one. Some kids are easier than others. He was a very difficult child. Shannon says her grandkids want to come and visit her again. Well, now see, here you go. You have things to keep them busy. The older they get, the harder it is to keep them busy. Hey, there's Green Bay Wacky in the house. I'm snapping beans. I've been out in the garden this morning, Green Bay. Snapping beans and getting ready to cook up a nice mess of beans with some ham hocks and some new taters and a little onion. Cook it in some broth. Oh, they won't come visit you again. Well, you know, they'll know that Granny keeps them busy. That's for sure. They won't sit around telling you, I'm bored. Lord have mercy. Always something to do. You know, I've had people ask me that. They said, well, since you've retired, don't you get bored? Oh, Green Bay's on his way to that funeral. Well, I can't say have a good time. But be safe. I will say that. My condolences all around. One of these days I'll kick the bucket, but I don't want anybody grieving. I want people to have a party. I want you to celebrate my life and say, wow, her life was full. She enjoyed it while she's here. Most of it. It's had its moments, but she did what she needed to do, and she survived it as long as she could. Don't cry for me, Argentina. I was reading something interesting the other day that I did not know. So don't ever get to think you know it all. But I read the other day where they said that back in the old days that they used to have wakes. Well, and I guess in some places they still do have wakes. But the reason that they had wakes is because they didn't have the methods for knowing that whether somebody had actually passed or if they were in a coma, like they do now in the modern age. So they would lay out the body, and they would have like a 3-day wake to see if the person would wake up. That's why they called it a wake. I did not know that. They didn't wake up in like 3 days, then they buried them. Folks has asked me, what do you want people to say at your funeral? I want them to say, hey, look, she's moving. That would be the number one thing you'd want them to say. Oh, I'm just about through this bucket of beans. Lord have mercy. Gee, looky here. I'll get that one out of the way. Now look at this big old colander full of beans I've got here that I snapped up. And I've still got a handful to go. My best friend passed several years ago, but he's a young feller that was in the amateur radio club that I was the president of for years. And, man, that kid made friends. And I treated him just like a son. But he passed away of cancer several years ago. And I'd always told him, I said, now, you know, when I kick the bucket, I want you to tell funny stories about things that happened in my life. And I wrote a whole bunch of them down and gave them to him. I said, here, these are the kind of stories I want you to tell. I don't want anybody, you know, crying and upset and grieving. I want them to say, man, the funny stuff she did while she's here. Carry on the tradition. You know, y'all need to find your own pile of gates for somebody to move. Say, Brenda taught me this. That's what you need to do. You was wondering if I was moving, watching this live stream. Yeah, I'm snapping beans. That's what I was doing. Snapping them beans. Nice big old batch of beans today. You be waking the dead with that, Jeff. Oh, I'm surprised I ain't had zombies at the door telling me to shut up. Yep, when I was on the farm raising them boys, they always knew when I hollered for them. There was no doubt about it. You could hear me for a mile. And I'd holler. That foster boy, I used to tease him all the time. He liked Orpington chickens, so I called him Orpington. And I'd holler out the door at the top of my lungs, Orpington, and he'd come running from wherever he was. So what you all got planned for today? Anything? I mean, we know Green Bay's going there to the funeral. And Luana went to bed. What's everybody else got planned? I'm going to cook these beans up. And I don't know. I need to work on YouTube today. Boy, I tell you what, I'm getting sick of working on YouTube. Right now I'm working on descriptions and tags. I've got 8 more pages of those to go, I think. Okay, Mystic's going to her daughter's OB appointment. What's everybody else doing? I'm going to live vicariously through the rest of you. I need to start getting stuff set up for that acrylic pour that I'm going to be doing. Hey, exploring with CF's in the house. I've been breaking beans. See these beans I snapped up? Snapped up a nice batch of beans out of my garden I picked this morning. Jeff's going to have lunch and then watch Ant-Man. Yep, I've been very busy. That's exactly right. Nice big batch of beans. Second picking on the beans. And there's still blooms hanging out there, so there'll be more in another about 2 weeks, I think. Because I picked them pretty clean this time, so we got to wait for those blooms to form beans and for them to mature. So I'm figuring about roughly 2 weeks. Yes, I know, Shannon. Lord, I need to get out and run the weed eater and do some things in the backyard. But Lord, just unless you get out there early and get it, you know, Get as much done as you can before it gets too hot. I did manage to mow behind the garage and out the strip out in front last week, but everything inside that privacy fence needs the weed eater used on it. But nobody sees it but me anyhow, so, you know, it is what it is. I don't worry about it. If I don't get it, eventually the frost will kill it. So, hey, there you go. CF says he's just stopping by to say hi while switching his nebulizer meds. Okay. I understand. We just killing some time here while I snap beans. It was nice to have some company. Okay. Yeah, I probably won't be here a whole lot longer. But I wanted to just chat with people a little bit. It's always nice to have company when you're snapping beans. Talk to folks a little bit. I always do my live streams there on Monday nights, my standard ones. So anything else I do, I just kind of, you know, impromptu thing. It was cool here Saturday and Sunday, Mystic. I mean, comparatively, you know, because it had been about 100 degrees. But it cooled off into the 70s on Saturday and Sunday, and I got a little bit of work done outside then. Okay. I understand, Green Bay. Yes, I'm chopped liver. He treats me awful. You guys should see how he treats me when we get in the hangouts. Oh, my goodness. He treats me horrible. People wouldn't treat a dog the way he treats me. Where are you, Shannon? I'm in Indiana. It's been awfully hot here for Indiana. I mean, you know, we usually get it up in the 80s, but man, I tell you what. Yes, I'm telling on you, Green Bay. I'm telling. He treats me worse than you treat a dog. Horrible, horrible. Yeah, Green Bay. I got some gates that needs moved. You got that right, Shannon. Oh, mercy. Mystic's in North Carolina. Yes, Jeff, same thing happened here where I'm at. It rained a little bit and temperature dropped down just a little bit, and then it raised back up and turned into sauna before the sun went down. Shannon's in Kansas, real close to the Missouri border. Well, you probably just then about due west of me, Shannon. So you're sending me some heat, huh? Yeah, Green Bay have to play this back and hear the gate story, won't he? Yeah, I'll tell you what, it worked. It sure worked. I'm like, you know, what was the worst thing they was gonna do? Is tell me, well, sorry, I ain't got time to do it now, or you know, whatever. Then when they came back, they better have time to do it. Oh, some of the stories I used to tell them guys, you know, finally I got fed up with them asking me, what are you going to do with the place? What are you going to do with it? Because they all thought they was going to get it for a steal, you know, that I was going to sell it out. I bought the place myself, is what I did. But, oh, they kept asking. One of them I told them, I said, well, you know what? I'm going to put a big old sign out in the front yard. And I'm going to call this Brenda's Plantation. And I'm going to turn that upstairs there over top of the porch. I'm going to turn that into a veranda and put a big, one of them big French doors in there, you know, where I can walk out on the veranda. I'm going to be wearing my big old hoop skirt. And I can sit out there with my parasol and sip mint juleps while I look out here over my estate. They never asked me again. Be careful what you ask me, because you don't know what kind of answer I may give you, you know. Oh, gosh. Well, I'll tell you what, gang. I think I'm going to close her down and go wash these beans up and get them in the crock pot with some new potatoes and some smoked hocks. And I'm going to put some onion in there with them, and then I'm going to pour in my broth till it comes right up to the top of the beans there. I'm going to put the lid on it and put it on high. And I'm figuring that I should have all that done here in about, by 1 o'clock Eastern time. And so then I'll let them cook until about, I'd say about 7, 8 o'clock tonight. So that would be about 6, 7 hours there in the crock pot. And the meat should be falling off the bone. And then I'll whip me up some cornbread in the skillet. And that'll be my dinner tonight. So I'm going to bid y'all adieu. Green Bay Wacky is headed out. So goodbye, Green Bay, from the Chopped Liver Factory. And we will see y'all later. Y'all have a good day out there. And remember, Brenda's crafty. Be like Brenda.